Our movement to make America great again stands stronger, prouder, more united, more determined, and nearer to victory than ever before. We're going to make America great again. Going to win the election. Going to win the election. And to all Americans, whether you are Republican, Democrat, Independent, Conservative, or Liberal, or you have no label whatsoever, it makes no difference. Our movement, it belongs to you. It belongs to our country. It belongs to our country. And together, in just 1 month, we are going to usher in a new golden age of American security, prosperity, sovereignty, and freedom for our citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed.
As it says in the video title, I'm a Jewish Democrat and I'm voting for Donald Trump in the upcoming 2024 presidential election in the United States. In this video, we're going to talk about the reasons why I am and why it's a good idea for you to vote for Donald Trump as well. Okay, now in terms of any presidential administration, there are basically two main buckets that we have to look at: the domestic policy of the president and the foreign policy of the president. So within the domestic policy, the main issues facing the country today are border security and the economy. So let's talk about that first, as to why Donald Trump would be clearly the superior candidate to Kamala Harris. First and foremost, Donald Trump has unequivocally said that he is going to close the border day one. In contrast, Kamala Harris said in her recent interview with Bret Baier that we have a broken immigration system. However, that to me is a misleading statement, because you might think that she intends to fix the broken immigration system by closing the border. But really, the border proposals that she has addressed in the past and supported in the past are really more about giving amnesty to illegal aliens, not preventing illegal aliens from coming into the country. So you have to be very mindful of when she talks. She's saying words that might lead you to believe one thing, when her past history during the Biden-Harris administration, not going back to 2019, not going back 10 years, going back to these last 3.5 years, the border proposal that Biden signed or offered to Congress on day one in January 20th, 2021, was mostly concerned with giving amnesty and a pathway to citizenship for illegal aliens. It was not about decreasing the number of illegal aliens. It certainly wasn't about deporting all the millions of illegal aliens in this country. Donald Trump has specifically said he's going to have the biggest mass deportation in United States history. And we need it. Because it's not that we are objecting to immigration at all. It's that we do have a broken immigration system, as Kamala says, but she's the one who helped break it. You can't just let a full open border and let anyone who wants to come in, and claim that they're really asylum seekers when they're not. And what Donald Trump had was that his policy was remain in Mexico. So if you come to the border, even if you're seeking asylum, you come to the border and then you remain in Mexico until your claim has been vetted properly, that we know who you are, where you're coming from, why you're coming here, and are you a criminal? Because if you're a criminal seeking asylum, that's not what we want. That is not what we want. So that's one thing. Donald Trump is clearly making a very strong and important distinction between legal immigration and illegal immigration. And he has said numerous times that he is 100% in favor of legal immigration, but it has to be done properly. At the recent interview he did in front of with Univision and in front of a mostly Hispanic audience, he specifically said that he's in favor of legal immigration. They have to come in the right way. They have to come in by our standards, by our vetting process. We're doing them the favor. We need new workers. We need, it's always helpful to have new immigration, but it has to be done the right way. Having just millions and millions of people come in unvetted and give them special protective status does not help this country. I understand that it helps them. But when we let people into this country, the idea is that it has to help us. Like Donald Trump always says, putting America first. That doesn't mean we can't help other countries. We help them all the time, all over the world throughout our history. But we have to help them in a way that does not hurt us. And that's important to note, because millions of illegal immigrants into this country only puts a burden on our existing infrastructure. Even if everyone is perfectly legal and law-abiding and ready to help out and cure cancer, we can't just have unlimited immigration into the United States. It has to be regulated, it has to be controlled, it has to be done in the way that we're not overwhelming our systems. And then there's the cynical aspect of it, where people were saying that a lot of illegal immigrants were being flown to areas that were often Republican dominated, with the hope that when these illegal aliens were settled in place and that they had their pathway to citizenship, that they'd be so indebted to the Democrats that they'd all vote Democrat. So that's the cynical aspect of the whole situation. And there's something to be said for that. However, beyond that, we have to, again, have a system that makes sense for us. America is the best country in the world. Everyone wants to be here, and that's understandable, and it's a good thing. But if we're hurting ourselves in the process of helping other people, then that's not a good thing. And when I say hurting ourselves, I mean if we're inviting people from other countries' prisons into the United States and letting them just run free without really having any kind of system to keep track of them on a regular basis, you have situations where people are getting killed, raped, killed, mugged, all sorts of things happening, and not just by random individuals, or it's also by organized crime gangs that came from prisons in countries like Venezuela, like Tren de Aragua, that everybody's been talking about. The ones that took over the apartment complexes, which the left-wing media and the Biden-Harris administration have tried to downplay. But as J.D. Vance, Donald Trump's vice presidential pick, accurately pointed out, that the numbers of apartment complexes that a prison gang from another country should be taking over in the United States should be zero. Whatever Martha Raddatz was claiming on her interview with J.D. Vance a couple of weeks ago, the number is definitely more than zero. It should be zero, and it's unacceptable. Our hearts go out to other people from other countries that want to live here, but again, we have to have a policy of America first. It has to make sense for America. Otherwise, we just have chaos all over the place. So that's one of the things that Donald Trump is really focused on, that Kamala Harris quite frankly, is not. I don't feel when I listen to her that she's really putting America first. She's putting the immigration system first, which allows unvetted illegal aliens to have temporary protected status and then an easy pathway to citizenship, bypassing the system we already have where you apply for a green card, you wait, you take a test, you swear loyalty to the United States. I mean, this is something that's pretty basic, and it's something that every other country does in one form or another. So it doesn't make sense that the United States, which is a huge landmass, that we just allow millions and millions of people into this country that we just can't keep track of. That's not safe for us. It's about safety. So we're allowing immigration because we need immigrants, and our hearts go out to other people from other lands seeking asylum in the United States or just seeking a better life in the United States. But we can't cut our own throat in that process. So when it makes sense for the United States to allow immigration to increase, we can do that. And when it makes sense for us to say we need to decrease it, we can do that also. And so that's what it is. It's looking out for ourselves first and foremost, and then making a smart immigration policy that puts America first. I never feel that Kamala Harris is putting America first when she talks about all these things. It didn't come across that way in the Bret Baier interview and in any other interview she's ever done. She's talking about how, basically the subtext of what she's saying is how sorry she feels for people who want to immigrate to this country. And we can feel sorry for them, especially if they're not criminals otherwise. But our priority still has to be on what America needs at any given moment. Do we need another 10, 20 million immigrants, even if they're all vetted and legal? Do we need that many at this present time? Do we have the resources? If we just plop them down in a random city in America where they don't speak our language and don't have our values and don't know our customs and don't know our history and don't really feel connected to it, then we're hurting them and we're hurting us. Now, I know that the immigration system that we have now is a very long, arduous process, but it is designed to be that way deliberately so that we have time to understand who these people are and they have time to get used to our country and to fit in with us. That is the goal. They have to fit in with us. We don't have to fit in with them. So it's very important that we kind of establish the ground rules for immigration and a smart immigration policy that doesn't engender divisiveness and anger on the part of citizens of this country. Because having a system where you're just inviting millions and millions of people in and flying them into random cities in America only creates anger among the United States population. And it will create the xenophobia that you hope to avoid. So we need a smart immigration policy. I agree with Kamala, but her policy is not smart and her policy does not put America first.